All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7:11 a.m. Sydney time. So good morning if you're a Sydney viewer, or you're an Australian or a New Zealand or this side of the world. So good morning to you. It's quite late in the UK area or Europe, I'd say. I believe it's about 10:11 p.m. But I do appreciate you guys joining. Once again, the live chat and the people that have joined so far, thank you so much for all the support you guys give me. Check out the earlier stream we did today, which was about Erling Haaland and Jan Age Foytov's video on ESPN. So we basically did a reaction on that. So make sure you catch that. That was earlier today. Literally, if you go on my channel, you'll see the video live there, which was a buzzing video. There was close to about 350 at one stage, which was amazing. So yeah, check that out. But today we want to talk about Lewis Bate. Shout out to Matt Ball, who's in the live chat. Thank you so much, my man, for joining. Taron, my boy, it's been a while. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a while. But on summer holidays now, so had a well-deserved break, I think, from school and streams and stuff like that. So all good. But in the UK, I've got my ice water. It's so hot in the minute, and COVID restrictions are lifting. So the life's going great. And yeah, how are you, Miz? How's Eid going for you? And how's everything going? How was Bate as well?
Yeah, man, thank you so much for saying. By the way, Eid Mubarak to the people that have joined in and people who watch down the track. Look, Eid's been a bit strange here because we're in a bit of a lockdown at the moment. So I haven't been able to see family, literally just FaceTiming them, which is strange. Eid is meant to be with the family. So when you can't see family, it's very difficult. So went out with my, wife and my son. We had a good time outside, just went for a walk, went to the beach for a walk, and that's pretty much it, man. But yeah, let's get straight into this, Taron. I'm so glad, by the way, that you've had a bit of a break. Because you were non-stop on this channel, literally non-stop. So you had the break, you've got break from your school as well, which is great, and you look refreshed as well, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
My man, let's get talking about Lewis Bate. I'm gonna bring up this particular tweet from Simon Johnson first up. Let me just enlarge that a little bit. Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. So Simon Johnson earlier today stated Lewis Bate is closing in on a move from Chelsea to Leeds United FC. Fee has been agreed with a sell-on clause, no buyback, personal terms being discussed in view of medical tomorrow. So literally, it's still, this news is obviously today. So tomorrow will be the medical. That's where they're expecting. Still possibility of another club hijacking it late, but obviously time is running out for that to happen. All right, so, let's talk a little bit about this before we talk about all the other dramas. He was not part of the main squad when the season started. He was literally shifted towards the under-16, I believe. Himself, Tino Livramento, and Mars Pret. I think those are the three players that were with the under-16. One of the reasons being is they've been given the contract extension by Chelsea, but they've refused to take that. These players, these particular youngsters, they truly believe they're good enough to start elsewhere, and they're not willing to stick around at Chelsea and get another loan or maybe play another season in the development. They believe in their quality. Just like Margihi believes in his quality, got the opportunity with Crystal Palace, moved on. Similar thing with Lewis Bate, now Leeds United. Leeds United, that's a top club. I even think that's probably a better club than Crystal Palace, where Margihi is going. But then again, Margihi is probably going to start there. I'm not really sure exactly if Lewis Bate will start, but Leeds is a team, they fancy youngsters. They do give opportunities to youngsters. That's the model that they've created. I've read from someone from Leeds off the back of this. I think the response might be even he. Let me see if I can find this response. I saw someone write that. Yeah, here we go. I just want to quickly show you guys this. So I think this is a Leeds United fan here, JT, saying We only loan our players; they aren't in our plans. The under-23s train with the first team, and any ready to step up do. Shackleton, Struik, Poveda, all prime examples. If the boy's talented and fit enough, he'll be in and around the first team. I mean, Taron, what do you make of this particular move for Lewis Bate to Leeds United?
Well, I didn't see it coming originally. I thought he was going to sign a contract because he's had a good pathway so far. You know, he's played a few games last season. I know it's under a different manager, but we still have Joe Edwards working in the coaching team who had a close relationship with him before. So, yeah, it's a weird one for me. I didn't expect him to leave, especially with Livramento, the rumours coming out about him, and Miles Harris, who I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. But, you know, Lewis Bate, I've always seen him as a player who wasn't really ahead of Gilmour in the way he was treated at Chelsea. Gilmour was always seen as a guy who would get the minutes on the Lampard, the starts against Everton, Liverpool, the loans from Norwich, the big game minutes, you know, against Man City last season. So obviously the club do rate Lewis Bate lower than Gilmour. And already we look at Gilmour seeing a low amount of minutes in the team last season. We see him trying to get ahead of Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic. And then you think Lewis Bate's there as well. How is he going to kind of transition ahead of Gilmour, ahead of Kova, ahead of Kante, ahead of Georgie? It didn't really look like to me there was a clear pathway. But, you know, my honest opinion is I thought he should have gone out on loan for a few seasons. Georgie is aging. Kante is only 31 now, I believe. So I thought Lewis Bate could have gone out for loan for a few more years, then came back to Chelsea. But he's gone for a permanent move. It's risky because we've seen players like Dominic Solanke, other players like that who've made a permanent move and it's come back to bite them in the end. And, you know, I don't think it's a good move for Lewis Bate personally. But if he sees this as his best opportunity, then, you know, good luck to him because I wish all the best for him personally.
Let's talk a little bit more about this. You don't think it's a good move for Lewis Bate to move? I mean, do you feel he must have seen, someone commented not that long ago that you must have seen a player like, let's say, Lewis Baker, who's been in and around Chelsea for so long, loans after loans after loans, still now training again. I know we can say, well, what about Mason Mount? What about Reece James? But those are very, very, it's a rare occasion. It's not like Chelsea have always been known to provide so many, you know, academy, and it shouldn't be like that. Only the best of the best should be making it to the first team. So from that perspective, do you feel that you're going to a place like Leeds where you're not going to have a plethora of talented players everywhere? Literally, he's now probably behind Billy Gilmour. It's not even a top player that's blocking him. It's another youth academy player that's probably blocking him. I mean, from that perspective, where do we draw that line between being realistic as well, that he probably wants to make a career out of it? But I do get your whole point about being patient. But it is something very difficult to juggle, man, because footballers don't have such a long time to have a fruitful career. And they've got to make the most of whatever is available in order to have a big career in their life. So, I mean, what part of it that makes you think that this is not a good move for him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a good point. We'll talk about kind of the lead side of it later, how he's kind of, you know, trying to get through some of the other players who we'll talk about. But in terms of the Chelsea side, like I said, Jorginho is 29. He's going to be playing for us probably, if I say 2 to 3 more years at a high level, and then he might look to retire in Italy again. Kante is 30. We've already seen him. He can't play week in, week out. He's not a guy who can play 38 game season to the ability that he plays at. And, you know, Kova, is he going to be a long-term player at Chelsea? I'm not quite sure at the minute. So I do think there was a pathway for Bate if he did stay patient. It's not like other players. For me, Tino Livramento in the right wing-back role. We have Reece James, who for me is going to be our right-back for the next 5-10 years. If Livramento did come in, it would be to compete with James. It wouldn't be to start. But I do see Lewis Bate as a player who could have started for us in the next 2 to 3 years. He hasn't had much first-team minutes. If he went on loan to like a Leeds, for example, like another team high up in the Premier League, had a few years to kind of show what he's about. Let's look at Mason Mount. I know it's a championship, but let's look what he did. He could come back in a few years when Jorginho is kind of aging, when Kante's not at the best anymore, and then start for us. So I did see a pathway for Bate. He's rated quite highly around the club. You saw Lampard. He always had him in the first team, around the first team picture. Joe Edwards rates him highly. Jody Morris rated him highly. All the different youth coaches rate him highly. Even, I believe Thomas Tuchel had Lewis Bate training with the team last season as well. So it was clear there was a pathway for him. I just think he's looked at Lewis Baker. He's looked at these other players who've had, you know, years. Trevor Chalobah, Nathaniel Chalobah, who've had years on loan, and he's tried to kind of not have the same kind of dispute as them. But I really did see a chance for Lewis Bate in the next few years. So that's kind of what I see, and that's why I'm a bit disappointed with his decision.
Fair point, fair point. The thing about Tino Livramento as well, he's another player who looks certain to leave as well. He's not signing a contract extension. He's now with the under-16s as well. Brighton apparently is after him. Same with Miles Pratt. He's another player that's looking to go to Brentford. That's just around the corner. It's pretty crazy what's going on. We will touch a lot more about this. I just want to quickly share some, because obviously, Taron, you've mentioned that he is highly rated in Chelsea. And for the people that haven't seen much of his clips or anything, I want to share some clips now. But before we do that, guys, we've literally got around 30 people live right now. Let's get the likes up to 30 straight away. It helps the channel and exposes the video to far more fans out there. So let's get those likes up to 30 straight away. And we're very, very close to 6,000 subscribers. Literally, we're about 100 subscribers away. So let's get those likes up right away, guys. And check out Taron's socials in the description right now. His Twitter and his the Perfect Hat-Trick podcast link is there. So check all of that out. All right. We'll have a quick look at one of these videos here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, so Leeds fans are getting a star in Lewis Bate, left-footed Billy Gilmore, arguably with a better passing range. If a manager is willing to look past his height, then he will flourish. This is a video from the Secret Scout who does these sort of things. Let's have a quick look at some of his clips. How much have you seen of him, Taron, of Lewis Bate from the academy? Have you seen much of him? You're on mute, bro.
Cheers. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not as much as your Carefree Youth, Chelsea Youths, but I have seen a lot of them in the academy, like the Tottenham under-18 games. I think this Liverpool game, he was really, really good. Look
at the passing range, bro.
Exactly. It's like short range, long range without any effort. Look at that pass again, especially left-footed players. So
and left-footed. Left-footed is very important.
It could have been nice for Gilmore on the right and Bate on the left in the future as well. So it would have been a nice kind of duo. But I've seen enough of him to know that he definitely would have made it. And that's kind of why I'm saying what I'm saying, is that I'm upset that he's left. And I think he could have had a pathway, right?
I'm checking some of these clips, man. He looks like he's a busy player. Like he's, and the passing range. Look at that pass.
Beautiful pass. Amazing.
That's unbelievable. Here's another pass low from midfield.
In between the lines, forwards, always good.
Yeah. Like the vision is fantastic. Look at that cross, your diagonal pass, man. Switching the play.
That's a good ball as well.
The academy plays some really, really good football. There's no doubt, because our academy boys, let's be honest, Taron, they've won a lot of stuff. They've won plenty of things. It's not a surprise that other Premier League clubs are quite interested in some of these players, because they do have the talent. What do you have to say when people say, "Oh man, some of these players won't make it in any of the bigger clubs"? How many of these players made it, in the top sort of ranges in their career? But there's some serious talents in there. Are you one of those that think that some of these players will probably end up being very, very good in the future, whether it be Chelsea or whether it be outside?
Definitely. This particular pool of players we have right now in the academy, especially the under-23s at the minute, I could name a lot of players right now. I might as well. Henry Lawrence, for example, Amanda Broja, who is going to get a first opportunity. This particular pool of players has been the best I've seen at Chelsea in my whole life. The last 10 or 15 years haven't been, I say, amazing. We've had a few players come through. We had not many like Loftus-Cheek or Mason Mounts, but this particular pool of players, I'm sure 11, 12 of them can make it at the top level. The centre-backs as well, we have Mbiamba, we have other players. The goalkeeper is great as well. The full-backs, like I already said, Lawrence and Livramento, and the strikers, the wingers, it looks crazy at the minute. We already had Tariq Lamptey, who's already gone through to Brighton. So, yeah, this particular pool of players is really sublime. And I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if 11, 12 of them kind of transition to first-team football. They're all making their moves now, so it will happen, I'm sure. There will be a lot of players, whether it's Chelsea, whether it's a loan, whether it's a permanent transfer. Trust me right now, everyone listening to this, you will see at least 11 of these players getting through and becoming big, big players in the future.
Bro, look at this guy's drive, man, from midfield. And he presses well as well. Look at this whole video as well. He's got a shot in him. He's shooting from distance. He's driving into the box. Let's have a quick look at this, because this clip was quite interesting from the Secret Scout. We can gather quite a bit of look from tight spaces as well. When he's covered with defenders all over him, he can squeeze himself out of those situations.
Oof.
Can dribble as
That
well,
was nice.
man. I know this is
He looks a
youth
bit more
level.
physical than Gilmore. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I know this is youth level, ladies and gentlemen, but from this level, you have to say that the boy has talent, and then he can only get better from here. You know what I mean, Taron?
Yeah, exactly. Look at this: the driving runs, the pace, the power, the technical ability.
Look at that!
It looks
Look
like
at that press.
Yeah, this is like I said, he's a class player. He was captaining us as well at the development level as well. So he's a leader. He's a leader.
Yeah, man. All right, let's now get deep into some of these conversations. I want to bring out a particular tweet that has rattled our fan base a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, 30 people. Let's get those likes up. Let's get the likes banging straight away. Up to 30, and then if you're here for the first time, subscribe as well. We're gonna have an awesome conversation, and keep the comments coming if you want anything that needs to be discussed about this particular topic. All right, I'm gonna bring this particular tweet out, Taron. Okay, so LDN London is a very good account on football Twitter, but he got a lot of heat for this particular tweet, and the fan base seems to be very, very divided in this particular matter. So he's saying, huge respect to our players who have gone out on loan and earned their places in Chelsea's first team. They earned it the hard way. So he's got pictures of Mason Mount, Reece James, and Christensen. And this, literally, as you can see, 15,000 likes, 219 quote tweets, 1420 retweets. It literally blew up. He's basically saying that it's weak mentality. You got to show strong mentality like Mason Mount, Reece James, and Christensen, who've gone on loan, persevered, and they've made it. I mean, let me start with this before I get your thoughts on it. And live chat, let me know what you guys think about it as well. Mason Mount, Reece James, and Christensen, yeah, sure. Like, Christensen had to persevere a lot. Like, it took a long time until he went from academy to the loan, then came back. And even when he came back, it wasn't always assured of a place. Only recently under Thomas Tuchel, even under Frank Lampard, it wasn't like as if he was getting, regular game time. He was definitely there there and thereabouts, but he wasn't always a regular. Mason Mount, I feel, yes, he had a very good loan at Derby. He had a very good loan at Vitesse, but Frank Lampard played a big role in this. Frank played a severe role in this. And this is taking nothing away from Mason Mount. Whether he would have made it without Frank, maybe he might have. I don't know. Reece James is another one. I feel, yes, the club was looking at him and the club was very excited about him. But I think the whole transfer ban situation made the transition a lot easier. Had there not been any transfer ban, I don't know whether it would have been that easy, Taron, right? Now, obviously, that they've worked out and they've, a fixed fixture in our team. There is no transfer ban. There is Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel needs to win trophies. That's how it gets judged in Chelsea Football Club. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for an up-and-coming player. You look at Billy Gilmore. I expected him to stay this season. But even he's had to go on a loan and develop because he's probably not going to get the amount of game time that he requires to develop at this current age. Then to say players like Lewis Bate, Tino Livramento, and Miles Priet, they seem to have a weak mentality as per that particular tweet from LDN, kind of suggesting that you need to stick around, you need to be patient. I feel it's not as simple as that. I can't blame the club either, to be honest. And I can't really blame the player. They talk about what's the pathway to the first team. The pathway to the first team is that there is no pathway to the first team. In fact, it's really all circumstantial. I feel it all depends on the particular time frame, luck. A lot of things has to come into play. Right now, Taron, I feel like it's very difficult to make that team. Do you know what I mean? In midfield, let's say Lewis Bate in midfield. You've got Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, Billy Gilmore, and we are linked with Declan Rice. how's Lewis Bate going to actually have a pathway to the first team? Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult. As you said, Jorginho and Kante probably play at least 2 more seasons, right? At least 2 more seasons, if not 3. Kovacic could leave, I don't know, but then Billy Gilmore might take that position. Declan Rice is coming in as well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a player we don't even talk about that much anymore, so we don't even know what's happening there. Someone like Lewis Bate, as we saw the clips, probably believes, I don't want to just keep going on loans. Do you know what I mean? He probably wants a fixed home where he can concentrate, play, train hard, and not worry about, I have to leave this club at the end of this season, go back to Chelsea, try and impress again. Whether I make it or not, I don't know. So from your perspective, what do you think? Weak mentality, or players are just being realistic? It's not really the club's fault either.
I definitely wouldn't say it's weak mentality. I think that's just definitely not the case. Different players have different.
This is another player, by the way, Conor Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher, it's another player in the kind of pecking order ahead of Lewis Bate that would have been. So him to go out is not really. People can't say that's a weak mentality. Different players have different goals. Do they want to fight for their place to make it at Chelsea? Andreas Christensen, he broke into the squad. We didn't even have a transfer ban back then. That was 17-18. We had David Luiz, we had Gary Cahill, we had good centre-backs who could have played there. And Christensen, through the academy, broke in. So, like you said, different time zones, different extents. Antonio Conte rated in this and that. I think Lewis Bate, I do see why he left, obviously. I mean, I mentioned it before, he could have stayed, but it's not weak mentality. He had a different goal at the minute. Like you said, he wants to be playing first-team football. He wants to have a future plan. At Chelsea, there's no certainty he would have even broke into Chelsea in the future. Even in a few years, he could have been out on loan again, in 4 or 5 years. Like you said, Lewis Bate is a prime example of that. So I think what Lewis Bate has seen is a Champions League winning team with, very good players in every single position of the pitch. And he's thought, you know what, fair enough. I've tried to make it Chelsea style. I was 9, 10 years old. I'm going to move. And if it works out, fair enough. If not, I'll hopefully have impressed at Leeds. I'll have enough game time under my belt over the last 2 years to impress. Maybe at Chelsea, he wouldn't have had enough to kind of get a bigger move to a bigger club to impress. But at Leeds, he can impress himself. He can impress other teams to kind of scout him in the future. So what I've seen from Lewis Bate maybe is a more clear plan to the future. But Mason Mount, I'd say, and Andreas Christensen and Reece James took a big risk in their career. They stayed at Chelsea. They fought for their place in the squad, and they really did everything that was possible. They did not accept a loan. They didn't accept the permanent transfer. If it wasn't going to happen, fairs, but at least they tried to make it at Chelsea. Lewis Bate is a different kind of player. Same with Livramento, same with Miles Pereira-Harris. They don't want to stay at Chelsea and fight for their place. They want to go and take a different pathway. Like I said, these are all fair things. Nothing is weak mentality. They're all fair different pathways that people take in life. But I feel like with Mason Mount, like I said, he has an elite mentality. I'm not saying anything to do with weak mentality, but he wanted to make it at Chelsea. He is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best midfielders in the world in the future. He knows that. He wanted to stay at a club that gets the best TV coverage. They play in the Champions League. They play in the Premier League. They play in, the Club World Cup. This is where he can show himself and improve for the best, and fair play to him. But with all these other young players, like you said, they can't all make it at Chelsea. We don't have a full team of academy players. We sign players from abroad. We have a squad from ages ago. We have other players that come in from permanent transfers that didn't work out. And like I said, I don't think there was really a clear pathway for Bate. And like I said, I don't think that's weak mentality. It's just he's seen it in a different light to Mason Mount did. And that's why I would always rate Mason Mount as an elite player and what I've seen him do at Chelsea. Yeah, now I really like what you said about the league, having such fantastic training facilities and such great, environment at Chelsea, and leaving that and going to, let's say, in Lewis Bates' case, Leeds, probably doesn't match us in that particular sense. I mean, that in itself, you can look at both ways. Sticking around, that's difficult because you're absolutely surrounded by superstars, and it's going to be very difficult for you to break through. But when you do, it just shows your caliber. It shows what type of a player it is. But at the same time, leaving these kind of facilities and going to a sort of lower one, it also shows that you're not looking to just be comfortable. You're okay to be uncomfortable somewhere else and work yourself up there. And I want to bring up this particular tweet. Give me 1 second if I can bring this up. Because, Chelsea FC vlogs. By the way, this is Ishan. You guys know him. He was also on this channel for reviews previously. He's put on a very good tweet that I want to
have a discussion with Taron about, and the live chat as well. Let me know what you guys think. I'm just trying to bring that up. Where is it?
I've deleted it.
Nah, here we go. Here we go. That's the one. 18-year-old kids are leaving an elite club like Chelsea with world club facilities and medical staff to go prove themselves in smaller teams, and I'm supposed to believe that they have a weak mentality? Opposite, they're showing immense courage, and I wish them well. I mean, this is a very powerful tweet, I feel, because a lot of people are looking at this and thinking, oh, they're taking an easy way out. These players like Lewis Bate, Tino Livramento, Miles Fred, they're taking an easy way out. I mean, I know you've kind of mentioned, Taron, that it's not necessarily a weak mentality or even an easy way out, but you did say that Lewis Bate probably could have stuck around. But what do you have to say about this particular tweet from Chelsea Blogs, which I feel like is a very powerful comment? Live chat as well. Let me know what you think. But yeah, Taron, it does show courage as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to go out of your comfort zone to a club that, you're going to have to prove yourself at again with new training staff, like you said, new medical staff, new players to get ahead of in the training. There's not really a real clear pathway into how it will break in the Leeds. But he's taken the dive into the deep end from a very, very high jumping board to kind of do this. So yeah, I do get what Ishan's saying. It's a really powerful quote. And I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. You could say he's moving because he's showing elite mentality. He wants to prove himself. He doesn't want to do the normal, use loans and use the normal kind of Chelsea loan army kind of system. He's kind of taking a new kind of pathway. But you could look at it and say that maybe he's taken that kind of easy option away from breaking into Chelsea and how the system works, like we mentioned, Mason Mount, Reece James, and Andreas Christensen. So there's two ways of looking at it, but that's definitely a very interesting point of saying that he could do that. And it really could come back in a good way for him. You never know, in the future, he could be starting alongside Calvin Phillips in a really, really deadly midfield. That could be, Champions League chasing. You never even know if it's too far to even say that. So,
Taron, he might even sense that someone like Calvin Phillips could be absolutely wanted by the Premier League clubs now. Do you know what I mean? He's had a very good season last season, good Euros as well, probably one of the better players for England. He could probably look at this particular scenario and think, let me go there. I'll probably get some games. We'll talk about the Leeds side very, very soon, but he could probably sense that he could potentially have a quicker pass to the first team over there.
For sure, yeah, definitely. Like I said, Jorginho can take over all these other players, Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, compared to Matthias Klick, Phillips, is Alioski, any other players maybe can play there. It's definitely an easier pathway at Leeds. And that's why I also say that what Ishan kind of tweet, it could be looked at in a different way, that he could be going for the easier way to break into first team football rather than going at an elite club. And the way I see it, if I'm a young player, yes, I'll see this other kind of opportunity, but I'm going to want to be playing at a Champions League level as soon as possible, a highest level, and I can in a big stage. So I would have chosen that option. But, fair play to Lewis Bate. And, what Ishan said is a great quote, but I say you could look at it from both ways of what can happen.
No, fair enough. Phantom of Many Topics, thank you so much for the super chat. Phantom of Many Topics does not like our academy that much. Whenever there's a particular academy player that wants to leave, he's ready to let him go. And we'll talk a little bit about this now. Send the child Lewis Bate onward. He's a crybaby. I mean, look, the flip side to this is that, Taron, it is a business model for us as well. Like, we are making quite a bit of money. Mark Gee is reported to be around 15 to 20 million. I think the end price was about 18 million as per the Athletic article. I mean, Taron, this is insane level of money for a player that's not kicked a ball in the Premier League. Leeds United, I don't know exactly what the price range is, but if we can get somewhere between 5 to 10 million, let's say 10 million, I'm thinking it'll be about 10 million. That's decent business for an 18-year-old who's not even, I don't think Lewis Bates played in the Premier League, has he?
He hasn't played in the Championship or anything. He's just been on loan at Chelsea, I believe.
So he was in the wasn't he in the sort of squad last season as well under Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel, but just never played, has he? Or he might have played.
He did. I think he did come off the bench for Lampard in some kind of cup game. I think it was this season or last. But he did definitely play off the bench like twice, I think. But apart from that, let me check his stats right now. Under 18s Premier League. I don't think he's actually played. So you're right, Miz. He hasn't played a senior game. I'm checking here. Chelsea under 23s, 20 games. There's no senior stats here for Lewis Bate, I believe.
It's crazy, my man. It's crazy how these guys have not even touched a ball in the Premier League, and other Premier League teams are coming in and taking some of these players. As I said, Tino Livramento, he looks like Brighton is after him, and it's probably going to happen. Marspret, as I said, Brentford is after him, but Brentford probably, okay, they're getting promoted, so there's a different scenario there. But I mean, Taron, from a business model point of view for Chelsea, they're cashing in and making money out of it. I mean, if you can't squeeze them into the team, which is being so difficult at the moment, you're getting top dollars, which eventually probably go towards Erling Haaland. Or even Declan Rice.
Maybe the academy was built so we could sign Erling Haaland. We don't quite know at the minute, but it is kind of insane, isn't it, when you think about it? That is a good amount of money for someone who hasn't played a game. And just by being at Chelsea in the academy, having a big reputation of being a big club's academy, we're earning money from these kind of player sales. I think it's incredible, especially Mark Gurley. He hasn't kicked the Premier League. He hasn't kicked the ball in the Premier League so far. Any of the big kind of competitions in Europe, I'd say, and we're earning 20 million from him. It is a really great model. It is a really great model. The academy was not just built to bring players into the first team. It was built to earn money from player sales. So I think it is insane. Like, especially with Lewis Bate, he hasn't even kicked the ball at senior level. And like you said, it could be £5 to £10 million. And people are thinking, yes, for Chelsea fans, 5 million. It's going to probably go to like the water bottles at the club or something. But that is quite a lot of money for an academy player who we built up for, I wouldn't say free, probably, the coaches were being paid and, all the equipment, the facilities, but I wouldn't say that's anywhere close to 5 million. So that's profit on that. If we can sell some more of these academy players, Miles Harris to Brentford, that could be more money towards our transfer budget. Yeah. And I say it's all kind of a system. We're selling players to buy more players for our club who can improve us. Maybe these academy players can't improve us, but we're going to earn money to sign players who can improve us. So it's a really insane kind of, Marina's got kind of a good plan going on back there behind the scenes, and it's all kind of working out in the end. But I just think it's crazy how our academy is earning us so much profit at the minute. And it's good to see why Marina and why this club has won so many trophies in the past. The model we have going is good for money, it's good for winning trophies, it's good for winning games, it's good for TV sponsors, everything like that. So I think it's crazy. I mean, the money we're making on this, it can go to a bigger transfer now. Lewis Bate being sold could go towards a Declan Rice transfer. It could go towards a Tchouaméni transfer. And he could improve our squad. And Lewis Bate, I don't think would have improved our midfield. So it's all coming back in a nice kind of rotation, like a conveyor belt. And, we're going to earn our money back in the end.
Yeah, man, you're right. Lewis Bate 100% is not a particular player that improves us now. What happens down the track, we don't know. But Chelsea Football Club is always about now. You know what I mean? Like, we need to win trophies right now. So that's very important. And the conveyor belt that you're saying, there's literally so many players that are still lined up. Emba is still lined up. Levi Colwell, who's gone on a loan, I believe, to Huddersfield, he's lined up. So there's still so many players that are churning and burning through. And some people say, Taron, I want to get your perspective as well, and live chat as well. Some people say, soon some of these youngsters are going to lose faith and they're not going to, join the Chelsea Academy. I think otherwise. I feel like there's going to be more youngsters that are going to come to Chelsea Academy now because they see that the world is looking at Chelsea Academy because it is one of the finest academy, I believe, in Europe. I can't think of any other. You look at any other clubs in the Premier League, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, top clubs. How many youngsters do they have in their starting 11? You look at our club, we probably have the most level of youth. Christensen, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Reece James, Billy Gilmore, now Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Tino Anjorin was within the mix of all of that as well last season. He actually even featured in one of the Champions League game against Krasnodar.
Yeah, he did.
So from your perspective, I mean, Taron, this is one of the best academies probably in the world at the moment, yeah?
I'm going to make a bold statement. I think it is the best academy in the world. And I know Matt Ball's saying Barcelona is on another level, but if we look at past the Xavi and Iniesta and Messi days, who have they really produced recently? Apart from Pedri.
Pedri's the only person.
Yeah, Pedri, exactly. But we produced Mason Mount, Reece James. I could go all day with these players. So I would actually say we are the best academy in the world football at the minute. Players are going to come in and see, this academy is getting a lot of publicity, whether it's, on the news, whether it's from training videos, stuff like that. Players are, teams are watching, scouts are watching the players in this academy. Let me remind you, Lewis Bate has not played a minute on live TV, I'd say, for a senior club. And he's already being signed for a Premier League, chasing club, like a Europa League chasing club next season. It's incredible. So, yes, you can say academy players are going to want to move away and say, we're not going to get game time. But players are going to come at either two things. One, we're going to play a few loans to get a chance to play well. Two, we're going to get a permanent transfer to start. Three, we're going to play for Chelsea Football Club. So there's no real way, I'd say, to fail. I know that's a bit of a statement. There's no real way to fail at Chelsea in the current model. Either you get a loan, a transfer, or you start for Chelsea. So, I mean, Chelsea is not a place to fail. We've seen clubs like, Ajax used to have a great academy. They don't produce the same number of players that we're producing. You see, we've got rid of the Mason Mounts. Now we have Bate, then we have Livramento, then we have Pert Harris, then we have Mbiamba. It's a crazy, crazy conveyor belt of players right now. So, yeah, I think, like Matt Ball's saying, Pedri and Fati are probably the only players, but I'd say we have multiple players who can be as good as these two. So it is really crazy, and this academy is really built to earn money, to bring in new players, to really bring players that can change world football. So, Marina and the board, fair play. The years they spent building this academy, the money they invested into Cobham, it's all come back. And this is the golden era for our academy right now. Yeah. We're going to see many players. We already see we play. It almost feels like there's a Chelsea player, whether it's past, present, future, on the pitch at all times in every game you watch. And I'm telling you, this revolution is going to keep happening in the future. There's going to be 3, 4, 5 ex-current past Chelsea players on the pitch. So, it is really, really crazy to think about.
Yeah, man. Honestly, Taron, you've absolutely nailed it, man. This is literally becoming a fantastic way to earn money as well. We could possibly become self-sufficient, where Roman doesn't need to pump in a lot of money season in, season out, if we keep producing this level of talent. And literally people coming in and getting Mark Gihis for 18 million and 20 million or whatnot. Hopefully Lewis Bate somewhere around 5. I know someone said 2 million. I don't think so, man, because there's reports going around that Marina is playing hardball and she's not selling these youngsters for cheap either. So even if we can get 5 million for Lewis Bate, that's insane business. I want to now talk about the Leeds United perspective, because it's a very good point that you brought up about Leeds, Taron, that this isn't a Mickey Mouse club at all. So we'll talk about that. I've just put out a poll, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what your thoughts are. Lewis Bate to Leeds, what's your thoughts? Weak mentality, great business. Have a go at that. We've got over 50 people live straight away, guys. Let's hit the like button, get the likes all the way to 50. It helps the channel out a lot, supports the video to be exposed to far more fans out there. And if you're enjoying this conversation, smash the like button. If you're here for the first time as well, subscribe. Check out Taron's socials in the description. Okay. First of all, Chelsea Perspective, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. I hope any of these cases don't turn out to be a repeat of Solanke's. Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, Solanke's one is the proper bad one. Look, I wasn't one of those ones who noticed Solanke in the academy days. Obviously went to Liverpool, didn't work out. I think he's in Bournemouth at the moment. So we'll see. We've got a match against Bournemouth coming up very soon in pre-season to see what's happening. But yeah, this is right. This is the other side of the coin, I suppose, of when you do leave Chelsea, it doesn't always work out. I'm just trying to think who else has left from the academy that has done well.
I'm trying to think.
I can't think any.
Maybe Nathan Ake's done all right. He got a big transfer to Man City.
Yeah, Nathan Ake. Yeah, that's a good one. I realized the other day, but Bertrand Traore is not someone from the academy, is he?
He was signed. Yeah. He was signed by some weird club and then sold on.
Was Boga from the academy? Jeremy Boga?
Yeah, he was. Jeremy Boga was from the academy.
So he's done all right in Sassuolo. So look, it can happen. It can happen. And we'll probably see more. Like Mark Gehi, I've got every hope that he's actually going to do well. Okay, Taron, let's talk about the Leeds United side of things now, right? Lewis Bate moving to Leeds, for me, that's a pretty decent club. Like I've said it, the live chat knows, and the people that watches this channel, after Chelsea, I probably watch Leeds the most. For me, Taron, and I want to see whether you agree with this, you have Man City, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. They're probably bunching a bit of a group. Man City probably ahead of the other three. Hopefully we reduce that gap. And then after those, your Leicesters, yeah, they're there for sure. I'm not going to disrespect them. They're definitely there. But after that, your Everton, West Ham, Arsenal, Spurs, Leeds could be in and around in that mix, I feel. Like, what did Leeds finish? They finished just a bit below Arsenal, I feel.
I think
they were
eighth or ninth, yeah.
Eighth or ninth? Yeah, have a look at that. And that was on their first season back in the Premier League. It's not like they've got glamorous players all over the joint. I mean, they're now, some of them are touted to be really, really good players. Rafinha is a very good player. Bamford's a decent, very decent striker. Yeah, by the way, Musiala is another one who's in Bayern Munich.
Yeah, great.
Calvin Phillips, Dallas. Lewis Bate going into this particular team, they could possibly, I honestly think, they could possibly break into the top six. Not the top four, obviously. That's supremely strong. But after that, they've got the game to go toe-to-toe against some of these teams. They've shown it last season. They've beaten some of the decent teams in the league. I'm pretty sure they beat Leicester as well in one of the games.
It was like 4-0 or something, 4-1 or something.
Yeah, Leicester's beaten them and they've beaten Leicester. So what's your thoughts about this Leeds United side and Bate going there? I mean, this is not a Mickey Mouse club.
Well, it is a compliment to Bate that Bielsa wanted him. First of all, Bielsa wants players that can really fit a system. And that is probably one of the most demanding systems in world football. The amount of kilometers they cover in each game is insane. So, Bate, that is probably one club that me as a player would want to play for. It looks like a club that tactically, they're really astute. Physically, they're really astute. The way they play, really disciplined under that manager, the way they play. It looks like if he can break into that team, they could be playing Champions League football very soon, in my opinion, in the next 4 to 5 years. So he could be playing in the Champions League very, very soon, Lewis Bate. And playing under Bielsa, he's going to learn a lot about himself, whether that's physically. He's going to develop a lot. I'm sure Bielsa makes the players run on treadmills for at least, a day at a time to kind of get their kind of fitness up. He's going to develop physically. He's going to develop tactically. He's going to learn how to play as a box-to-box, a lone DM. You know how much they rotate in that system. He's going to become, I think, a very, very good midfielder under Bielsa. If Bate was going to, Crystal Palace, one of these other clubs, or Watford, we would have been like, maybe this isn't what we shouldn't get too worked up. But he has gone to Leeds, and that is actually insane if he could break into that team. Like I said, imagine next to Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips being that lone DM, they can rotate. One can stay back, one can go forward, like we've seen with Declan Rice for England. It could be a crazy midfield. And I say, if there's one position that Leeds team that needs a change, is in the midfield. They do have Mateus Klick, who's a very good player, Rodrigo Moreno, who's been playing there quite a lot for last season. But is there many other players who can play that? I say at the minute, not many. And we've seen Ian Poveda play a few games in there, who's not a great player. So I think Lewis Bate could potentially play quite a lot of minutes next season. Yeah. Like one of the earlier comments I've seen, it said, Poveda's had a lot of minutes. I think it was a tweet he showed me. Stewart's had a lot of minutes. A few other players. Yeah, Shackleton, exactly. And they've had chances. They haven't performed, but they have had chances to perform. I believe Poveda did play against us at Stamford Bridge. He had a chance. He got bodied by Reece James. But, Bate will have the opportunity to play at Leeds next season. He will have a chance to impress. It's guaranteed. And he will have a chance to play at least, I'd say, 10 to 15 games, whether it's off the bench, whether it's starting. So that is probably the perfect transfer at the minute that you could ask for as a young player. You have a good pathway to the first team. Maybe there's not really one at Chelsea. It's a great system, a great manager, a position that he can play in the midfield. And, next to Calvin Phillips, you can't really complain as well. So that is a perfect transfer for Lewis Bate, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, I have to agree. It's such a juicy transfer for him. And you're right. Lewis Bate, as the clips that we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, earlier on, if you've joined, check out the stream from the beginning, some of the clips that we've seen. He looks like a very technical player. He's very good on the ball. has great range in his passing, can drive, can dribble. He's got that close control of the ball. And yet it seems to have an engine, like he can run around. And this is exactly what Leeds want. Marva here with a particular comment, Leeds always play attacking football. So good to watch. It is so, so true. I'm telling you, I've watched Leeds quite a bit last season. This is another one. Just remember Leeds beat Man City with 10 players. They literally ran their backsides off against Man City with a player down. And they beat them. I know we can say there are other teams that have done it as well, but Leeds literally play such a high intensity game. Some of the Chelsea players from last season, they'll tell you one of the toughest games that they've played was against Leeds because they ran their backsides off. They literally we had to outrun Leeds. You don't generally outrun Leeds. Leeds generally takes over from all the other oppositions. And we outrun Leeds to beat them. And Taron, you'll probably agree with this because there were so many reports last season saying that might have been the catalyst of the game that then created all the bad results because players might have been so drained out off the back of that match. And I mean, I don't know whether it's coincidence from that match, it just went south after this Leeds United win. We started having the worst December, worst January, and Frank Lampard ended up getting sacked. So, I mean, the whole Calvin Phillips situation as well, to be able to play alongside Calvin Phillips, that would mean immense. And Bielsa, as you said, high intensity, plays in such a organized and tactical manner. I mean, Taron, would you be surprised one bit if Lewis Bate becomes a top midfielder and then a couple of seasons time, Chelsea's after him? I mean, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, apparently the personal terms and everything has been agreed upon as per Simon Phillips's tweet. There is no buyback; it's a sell-on. So, and there's no matching fee either, like Mark Gehi, where if there is an opposition that comes in to buy Mark Gehi and Crystal Palace looks to sell him for, let's say, 40, 50 million, we can match that price and buy Mark Gehi off. Whereas Lewis Bate, we don't have that. It's literally a sell-on. So wherever he goes next, we can make money. So it's not only we're making money now, wherever he goes next, let's say he goes for 20, 30 million, whatever, next time, or even more, we will make some percentage. But Taron, would you be one bit surprised if he absolutely lights it up under Leeds, at Leeds, under Bielsa, that we start talking about bringing back Lewis Bate?
You can already see the tweet, can't you? Chelsea have bid 80 million for Lewis Bate from Leeds.
I mean, we're doing it for Declan Rice. We're doing it for Declan Rice.
Oh, we forgot about Declan Rice, the academy player who actually left the club. But yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised. I mean, like I said, if there's one club where you can develop into a top player, especially as a young player, is Leeds under Bielsa. And he has shown a lot of faith. Calvin Phillips, he did bring him through to make him a first team kind of big starter at the club. He did it with a lot of players such as Ben White, who was really young at the time. He came on loan from Brighton and he made him into, a 50 million players about time for Arsenal. So, Bielsa does use young players. He believes in the kind of energy that they hold, and they can have a big engine about them maybe. So, yeah, like I said, this could be one of the best transfers he could possibly ask for Lewis Bate. I'm trying to think if there's any better transfers you could ask for right now in the Premier League than Leeds. You look at Everton, not very good under Benitez a minute. I'm trying to look at the Premier League table right now. If there's any clubs who
maybe Hassan Harul, like Southampton, Hassan Harul plays a very good style of football.
That could be one. I mean, I'm looking right now at this table. Arsenal, I don't think so. Arsenal maybe could have another midfielder, but not for me. West Ham could use, Declan Rice and Souček. It could be a replacement.
Really depends how David Moyes wants to play, because David Moyes plays like a counter-attacking football, really.
Yeah, not real attacking. And Bate does look like a player who likes to have the ball at all times. I'm looking like here, Newcastle, no. Wolves, no. So basically, Lewis Bate has got the best transfer possible at the minute for him. For Premier League football, in terms of the system, in terms of the manager, it is really set up nicely for him. And I think he will move on to a bigger club in the future. We've seen them clips of him now. I've watched him at youth level. He's going to Marcelo Bielsa's team. It could be a Spurs, a Man United, Arsenal, a Borussia Dortmund even, a broad club that could bring him in. And yeah, I think he will sign for a big club in the future. And whether it's not, look at these highlights. This guy is really, really blessed. On his left foot, no effort. Look at the knuckleball in that pass and through the lines. Perfect ball. You can look at him here. I know it's academy football, but he still looks like an absolute baller. It doesn't matter if this is
But
Serie
that
A,
pass
Serie
was
B.
insane. That pass was
crazy.
insane from one side to the other.
It's crazy, and there's so many defenders around him. He's hit it perfectly on the feet, no bounce, nothing. Look at this ball as well, through the lines, allowed them to play through like that. Again, look at that pass. Look at that pass over the left back. The left back is out of position. I believe is that Livramento? I think it is.
Livramento, yeah.
Yeah, that is really, really good. And like I said, he is going to get a big transfer in the future. And I think there's some academy players I would say really are not going to go to the top. For me, I'm not going to try and dig out Miles Harris, but I don't think he's going to be one of the best players in the future. But I'm telling you right now, everyone listen to this, Miz, everyone, Matt Ball, C1 London, Winter Surfer, Lewis Bate is going right to the very top, and he will sign for a big club very, very soon.
Yeah, look, I mean, both Taron and I, we're not upset about this situation because he's simply not someone who improves our team now. But what I'm saying is, don't be surprised one of these days down the track if Lewis Bate, like this comment here, Taron, from El Loco. Thank you so much, El Loco. I also want to bring up this one was very interesting from Leeds. No top four, I believe, club beat them at home. This is so important. Leeds did not get beaten by a top four club last season at home, which is pretty insane. And this comment here, Bielsa transformed players to another level. Who wouldn't want to play for Leeds? I mean, Taron, how much do you reckon Calvin Phillips is worth now, man, in this market?
70, 75, 80 million, even more than that. Yeah,
easy. Easy. I know you highly, have Declan Rice up there, and that's fine because he is a very good player. But for me, Calvin Phillips, man, he can sit deep. He can be a number 8. So technical on the ball. Drive. That assist that he provided for Sterling in the early parts in the Euros. I mean, there are a lot of players. Bamford's a decent player, and he would go for a decent amount of money as well in this particular transfer window. Rafinha, how much do you reckon Rafinha is worth as well? Liverpool probably literally looking 50, for Rafinha. 60 million easy. He's developed him into a crazy player as well. It's crazy how much he's developing all these players, and especially Ben White, like I mentioned earlier, he's a massive one for me. People think that Brighton is a reason he became a big player. Marcelo Bielsa in the Championship, Ben White was insane. I'm telling you. But we were linked with Ben White under Frank Lampard's end of the first season. Remember Lewis Dunk, Ben White, some of the names that were getting thrown around?
Yeah, exactly. And, Bielsa, the whole team, Luke Ayling, before Bielsa came in, I'm sure he was just your average left back, and he made him into a monster. Look at Stuart Dallas. Look at, I wouldn't say Paveda, actually. I'll take that one back. The other players in the team, Bamford, especially. Bamford, when he left Chelsea, who was he really going to be an amazing 15 to 16 Premier League goal scoring player? But under Bielsa, he looks like a predator. And yes, he's missed sitters, but the other things he does on the pitch, I think it's scary what he can do with Bate. He can make him into a technical, physical, absolute monster, a maestro and a monster all in one. And some of these comments here saying that Lewis Bate to Leeds, he got demoted at under 16 squad of being 18. It happens, but he fought back, and then he was playing on the bench against Bayern Munich for the first team. So it shows a good mentality for him as well. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be, I'd say, incredible under Marcelo Bielsa. Incredible.
Yeah, and Marcelo Bielsa don't just get any type of players, man. These guys, they look at and check out Leeds One Fans TV. Connor from there, who's a very, very top content maker for Leeds. He's just put a video out earlier today, and they're really excited about Lewis Bate. I mean, they've even started calling him world class. I think that's a little bit overboard. I don't think he's world class. You can't say an 18-year-old's world class, especially not Lewis Bate, but they're absolutely excited about it. And Leeds is a particular place where they do give opportunities to youngsters. They believe in the whole model of, bringing the youngsters through, being part of, as I said, there was someone who tweeted off the back of Simon Johnson's tweet saying that, their under 23s do train with the first team. So there's that, I suppose, gap that they don't have at Chelsea, I suppose. So it's very interesting. They're gassed over there at Leeds for a player like Lewis Bate. I want to read this from Winter Surfer. Listen, at the moment, Bate is no loss. He had far too UCL ahead of him. Livramento is one for me. There's not that UCL competition really. Aspie sadly will decline, and then there's on Reece. I think he's trying to say that Bate is not the bigger loss. Livramento is. Look, as I said, to be honest, I'm not bothered, but I'm just saying that there are some serious talents in our academy, and we need to appreciate that. I think far too many times we sort of disregard it, and we think that let them go, and we don't need to worry about it. Yeah, it is a business model. We're making money out of it, which is fine. It's actually quite genius of Chelsea to do that, to be able to make money out of this and to have an academy that is so fantastic. So, but what I'm saying is, don't be also surprised if down the track we come back, because we are coming back for Declan Rice. Let's be honest. So don't be surprised if we ever come back for some of these players. I mean, there's a matching fee clause on Mark Gihey. Why is there a matching fee clause? Why?
Exactly. Because we probably want to match his bid in the future and try and sign him back, obviously.
Exactly. Why is there a matching for Mark Gihey? Because Chelsea believed that this guy had a fantastic loan at Swansea, one of their best players. Probably thought that if he stayed, he could have been as a backup in and around. He didn't want to be that. He wanted first team minutes. Fine, he moves on. But there's a matching fee on it. So Chelsea still thinks that there is an opportunity to buy him back if he absolutely kills that at Crystal Palace. So once again, don't be surprised. Winter saying, sorry, Miz, the message is autocorrected now, 100%. Yeah, I want to bring this particular point, and maybe Taron can answer this one. Ladies and gentlemen, there's over 60, there's nearly 70 people live. Please smash the like button. Let's get the likes over 50 straight away if you're enjoying this. And check out the poll. Have a go at that poll and let us know how you feel about that question. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. Check out Taron's socials in the description, his Twitter and his Perfect Hat Trick podcast as well. And check out the earlier stream we did on Erling Haaland, where we reacted on Jan Age Foytov's video on ESPN, which was a banger, absolute banger. So check that out. Matt Ball saying, can I make a point that when players go to small teams and blow up, who says that playing in Chelsea team will have the same effect? Sometimes you have to be in the right place at the right time, 100%. But yeah, Taron, what do you think about this particular comment?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I wouldn't say AC Milan are a small team, but Tomori's gone there and absolutely done crazy things in just half a season. So, yeah, I mean, Chelsea, I'd say, does have a big effect, because if we see a youth player coming in, the instant reaction is to gas them up. All over the timeline, you'll see many tweets of people just saying, he's the best young player we've ever seen. But I'd say it's the same effect. I'd say it's actually bigger at Chelsea maybe when you see young players coming in, because you don't expect as much. If you see Bate coming in at Leeds compared to Chelsea, you'd instantly think, at Chelsea he's doing amazing things to break into that team. So it's a fair comment by Matt Ball, but I think it's a similar kind of effect. But for Chelsea, it is a little bit of the same effect. And like you said, Andreas Christensen was in the right place at the right time. Rich James and Mason Mount, all the academy players from last season. But the thing I kind of want to make a point about this is Mason Mount. Yes, they're at the right place. We've seen with Tammy Abraham, he hasn't stayed consistent with that right place, the right time. Mason Mount, he was there when the opportunity was there, but he's carried on with that. He's earned Thomas Tuchel's respect, and now he's going to be at Chelsea for the next 5-10 years. Tammy Abraham, he was there, and he got the opportunity under Frank Lampard, but I don't think he's really taken the most of it under Thomas Tuchel, and I don't think he's really made use of that kind of, like you say, in the right place, the right time kind of catchphrase thing. So if you got what I'm trying to say with that kind of point, I don't know if I think
no, you made sense. You made sense. And I want to add something to that, Taron. Live chat, there's literally 60 people. I want to ask you this question, very important question, and I want to see what Taron has to say as well. People talk about the Mason Mount situation, right? And of course, he's a fantastic player, and he's turning out to be one of the most, great talents in world football at the moment, right? He's now playing for England regular basis. He's a big, big part of Thomas Tuchel's plan. But Taron, I want to ask you, and the live chat as well, if it wasn't Frank Lampard in that transfer ban season, let's say if it wasn't even a transfer ban and Maurizio Sarri still stayed, or even if it was a different manager, or even if it was Frank Lampard, right? And there was no transfer ban. How much did Frank Lampard, knowing Mason Mount from Derby, helped him out? And the transfer ban itself also helped out the cause. Are we downplaying this, that Mason Mount would have made it guaranteed regardless, or we do need to pay some respect that right place, right time, Mason Mount, Frank Lampard, Derby, transfer ban, it all fit in nicely for Mount to have the career that he's having now?
That is I think that's a very sensitive question to be honest on the fan base to kind of say that, but it's definitely true. If Maurizio Sarri was there, I'm very convinced that Mason Mount would not be starting for Chelsea right now, and that's a very bold statement. I think we had Loftus-Cheek, who was injured, but we had Mateo Kovacic, we had Jorginho, we had some players who could come back from loan, like more senior players. So I don't actually think Mount would have been starting for Chelsea if it wasn't for Lampard, and especially with Reece James, we had. I believe Zappacosta would have started and Maurizio Sarri maybe as a backup to Aspi as he's Italian. So I don't think Reece James would have gone, especially with Tammy Abraham. We have Morata, who, he could have played the next season as well. We had, other strikers as well that could have led Olivier Giroud. So exactly, if there was no ban, Lampard would have not been hired, and it happened, and the boys took the opportunity. But like I said, Mason Mount, yes, he got the opportunity, but he's taken that forward to this season. He's still fighting for his place, and he has put his stamp in world football. For me, a few players in the team, they got the opportunity under Lampard, and they haven't been managed to be consistent at training in the match they've got. They haven't been able to kind of stay with that. So you could look at it from both, but if it wasn't for the transfer ban, we wouldn't have been seeing Mason Mount starting for us, being a massive player at the Euros, stuff like that. So I think it's a little thing called fate that happens sometimes, that when things kind of click together in the universe, players fall into place.
You do need luck, right?
Happen.
You do need luck, Taron.
Luck does happen. People win the lottery every day. I got admitted to new university. Stuff like that happens. So it can happen, and luck happens. And Mason Mount has very lucky for us Chelsea fans that Mount got the opportunity. But things happen in the world that you can't really have a lot of control of, and it happened in the end. And look at Mount now; he's really balling for us.
Yeah, look, I have to admit, and this is my perspective, I could be wrong here, and I know I can see the live chat are quite split in this particular scenario. I feel like luck plays a massive, massive role. And for Mason, it worked out mad. And I know he's worked hard. In order to get luck, you have to work hard to be in that situation so that luck can come through. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's worked his backside off in the loans, in Vitesse, in Derby, and God was nice to him that he had someone like Frank to help him out as well. You cannot disregard the fact that Frank played a massive role. Frank played a massive role in bringing Mason Mount. Players like Lewis Bate, Tino Livramento, Miles Pratt, Mark Gehi, they don't have a Frank Lampard behind them. Do you know what I mean? They simply don't have a Frank Lampard behind them. Thomas Tuchel apparently is quite interested about Broha. And surprise, surprise, Bro has signed the 5-year contract extension, 2026, which is a huge contract. So you do need that bit of luck. You definitely do need that bit of luck. You can be excellent player, but for some reason, maybe the manager just doesn't fancy you. Do you know what I mean? It just happens that way. Like Frank Lampard was using Tammy. I know at the end of the first season when the crunch came around post-lockdown, there was more Giroud. But Frank did use Tammy in the beginning stages quite a lot. So you do need a manager that backs you, man. If you don't have that, that becomes difficult. And this is probably another reason that players like Lewis Bate and Tino Livramento is going, because they don't have a senior someone to say, nah, this guy stays in the club. He's not going to go. Do you know what I mean? So it is very difficult. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap things up. We've got over 70 people now, nearly 80. Let's get the likes up to 80 straight away, guys. If you've enjoyed this, if you're here for the first time, subscribe. I'm going to end the poll. Looks like people are saying great business, which is 64% out of 55 votes, which is, at the end of the day, I have to agree. We've said it, that it is a great business model. We're making money out of these youngsters. We're probably going to make more money down the track. Maybe one day, as I said, become very sustainable as a football club, which is fantastic. Before we leave, Taron, anything we can expect from your side coming up? Do you want to share anything? I know you're trying to get some tickets for Bournemouth, so hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood that you get some. But yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, we'll keep that a little bit quiet for the time being, but we'll talk about that maybe in a few weeks or so when the game happens. But there will be a lot of exciting stuff on this channel coming up, including me, Miz, and other members for next season. And I think a lot of the listeners and viewers will know about that. But yeah, I think you guys know. I think we'll keep on the wraps a little bit. We'll say in a few weeks, but it'll be a little bit of a surprise and everything. But in terms of the podcast, the Perfect Hat Trick podcast, we obviously had the Euro series for a few weeks, like the whole of the Euros, every single day we were posting new content, kind of like Miz does, every single day for the last year. He's been doing that. We did it for a month, and I think there will be some preseason content with special journalists and guests coming up very, very soon in the near future, talking about teams' models for next season, their systems, their tactics, a little bit about transfers as well. So stay tuned for that. And Matt Ball, DM me about coming on the pod. Sure thing, man. Just DM me on Twitter. And thank you to live chat for listening. Thank you for having me on, Miz. And it's been great to make my long-awaited return to the channel.
Brilliant. Look, the season's going to crank up very soon, ladies and gentlemen, and you will see Taron back again. Reviews, previews, the lot. Jonathan's another guy, my man. He's going to be back in the channel quite regularly once the season kicks in. So the boys, the band will be back. RJ is another one. Nishal hopefully will be back as well. I'll reach out to Nishal. The band is going to be whack again next season, and we're going to be talking about many things. I know you guys missed the reviews, the previews, the tactical boards. Ryan hopefully will be back as well. So the team is going to be immense. Next season is going to be lit. So guys, let's get the likes once again up to over 50. And until next time, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have the Australian boys back here, RJ and Scott. We'll talk about a few other topics. So the Down Under show will be here. So do look out for that. That'll be about 11 a.m. UK. So until next time, everyone, take care and see ya.